music is so serious.
I love it.
I gotta find something.
I always
like
do that.
lyrics yet. I don't have lyrics yet. It's just so super serious.
Good murder show music. Like, let's talk about how,
like the first 48. What's going to happen?
Murder show.
Murder show. Our favorite type of show.
I know.
Okay.
I've been on a ride this week too.
It's been a great week, and it's only Wednesday.
It has.
We're 3 days in. We're already. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't slept in like 2 days. So just forgive me.
I've been sleeping like a baby.
I wish I could. I keep saying my dad told me once that I never had. I asked him one time why he doesn't sleep, and he told me he didn't need sleep after a certain point, after a certain age, and I was like, whatever. And I'm like, yep, I'm here.
My mom told me that. I still don't
45 on Sunday, and I think I've stopped sleeping. So we'll see. Next Sunday, not this Sunday.
Next Sunday. I was going to say,
your birthday comes first.
Don't make me older than I am. Give me those couple of days.
Your birthday's first. So, welcome, everybody. If you're new to the show or returning, we have a special guest this afternoon, evening, wherever you are. I'd like to welcome Dr. War Maiden, aka Colleen, and we did not screw up. It is Dr. Because this is the person who owns the other half of my brain, but I think it's pretty safe to say that she's been using it for the last 8 years. Because what did you get? Like 2 doctorates, a 3rd master's, something like that, right?
Yeah, I've got 4 masters, and I finished. I defended the PhD in April last year during the pandemic.
She's definitely been using it, not me.
Not for anything useful, but yes.
Which is probably good because it would have just gotten turned to oatmeal with 2 kids running around like an idiot. So she's joining us today, and as always, my delightful, wonderful co-host Angie's with us. Brown Girl Life, how are you?
I'm intimidated. I'm intimidated. I've got an associate's degree. I'm going to be quiet today.
No, if it makes you feel better, I cannot cross the street without falling flat on my face. So
neither can I.
And not for nothing. I'm not belittle. She's got the degrees are so varied. It's not varied. It's not even funny.
It's right? Funny. I was going to ask why Doctor, and then you
Doctor because she's got 2.
Oh, now I know. Doctor.
She's got one in education.
I thought it had something to do with Little Shop of Horrors,
No.
Doctor.
No. The first one was what? Education, and the second one is
mythological studies.
Yeah, so I didn't want to say it incorrectly, but yes, mythological studies. Yeah, and she's also. Let's just make you feel a little bit worse, so I could feel a little bit worse. She's also a poet, published poet. She's got several books out of her books collection.
Awesome.
So here we are with Dr. War Maiden, and we're going to talk about the L is for lingering today, folks.
Yes.
In every sense of the word. We had languishing, we got lingering now. And I really thought about it in terms of, I actually kind of thought about it in terms of mullingering, but I didn't want to use that word because it doesn't go with the theme of our show. Right.
So I know what that word means.
And so I thought we'll just go with lingering, and we'll talk about chronic illness. And it's something that's come up a little bit just because I've been talking to some other people in my world who are finally getting diagnoses of illness. Hi, Harvey. War Maiden is the final boss. Ha ha ha. That is true. She is true. She is the final boss. Very true. That have just been recently diagnosed with actual ailments that that's what Harvey got.
This is courtesy of Harvey. This is Edgar.
Little Edgar.
Looks like an Edgar. So who finally got an actual diagnosis on long-standing illnesses that have been going on for years, which I'm sure nobody in this call has any experience with whatsoever. So, and it was this combination of, relief at finally having a actual, I guess, diagnosis and thing to point to. But at the same time, she was very angry because it took forever. And, you know, and I hate to be like this, and I hate this because it's going to sound like it was the total cliche of her being moderately overweight and getting passed off to like 7 different doctors continuously for like several years, each one of them giving her something, like whether it be a drug, a referral or something, but saying, you know, you really would also do well to lose like 20 pounds or 30 pounds. And this is not, and it's not even somebody I would even classify as obese. She's just overweight. So like maybe 20 pounds, 20, 30 pounds. And I was just like, you know, to me, I was like, right, exactly. To me, I was like, that's not, I mean, that's overweight. Yes, it is. But that's not somebody who I would be screaming at as a doctor to be like, go lose weight. But I, you know, and she felt very much like, if when all else fails, we're just going to go there because that's an answer, right? Because there's plenty of, and I did a literature search before I came on here, and I didn't pull anything to read because everything is the same. It all says the same thing, that yes, when you are overweight, you have comorbidities, you are more susceptible to having compounding health issues. They can exacerbate existing health. It can exacerbate existing health issues. I don't think that there's any argument that, you know, carrying any amount of excess weight can, you know, make life more difficult, whether it has a direct effect on your exact physical health or, you know, just in general, like the way you feel overall. So that was kind of like something that's I've been talking about for like the last week or two with this person who just has gotten like increasingly angry. And then it culminated, which this is the part that I find hysterical because, and you'll know why in a minute, Colleen, because they sent her to an acupuncturist who told her that she would have to drop like 20 pounds before she would benefit from the acupuncture. And I find that hysterical because I was like 9 months pregnant getting acupuncture and I was enormous. So,
yeah, that's not
and I felt
a thing.
like great. Like, I mean, I was in a lot of pain from a dislocated SI joint and couldn't walk for like, you know, the final, like the mid 6 months of my pregnancy. And until I started getting acupuncture and deep tissue therapy, I couldn't even walk. So like, and I weighed like probably 280, 290 around that time. So don't tell me like, you know, she's too heavy to get acupuncture and have any benefit from it. So she's very angry right now. And I'm like, well, I think you need to find a new doctor. That would be my immediate suggestion. But I mean, I have not had this episode. I have not had this situation before because I have not had many health issues, like major health issues, where I've had to constantly be under a doctor's care. I have had the one incident I talked about with Angie a couple of weeks ago was when the doctor called me too fat or accused me of being like 100 pounds or 50 pounds heavier than the last time I had a procedure, which I was like, you know, you're an asshole, but you're lucky you're a good doctor kind of thing. And he was just going to perform a surgery and I'd probably not have to deal with him again. So I didn't really care. And then maybe from like the random physical every so often where my blood pressure might have been a little elevated and they were like, you possibly should go on medication, but I never really did. And I also thought that maybe when I was pregnant, I was going to get a lot of that bullshit from the doctor, but actually I didn't get anything from the doctor because I had 2 really great doctors and my blood pressure completely like normalized during my pregnancy and it's been there ever since, which is weird too. So I have not had the misfortune of dealing with doctors who are I don't want to say unsympathetic, but have like absolutely no, I don't know what it is, bedside manner or like it was like to any kind of motivation to find an actual diagnosis. Like they've always been able to say like, this is what's wrong. Like I have not had any kind of mystery illnesses. So hearing this from my friend, and now Colleen, I've known you for over 10 years now, 11 years, probably 13 years. Okay. And you know, I've been through this with you because when Colleen and I met, we met in 2010. or
7.
2009. Oh, 7? Really? Oh, yeah, no, you're right. 2007. I'm sorry. 2007. You were healthy. You were probably in one of the healthiest places in your life at that point. And then
I had a trainer. I was going to the gym every day.
Suddenly everything changed at some point. And then it's been like this aggravating situation. I mean, it pisses me off. So I can only imagine how angry you are. I just find I find this whole thing, I don't want to say fascinating because that's not the right word, because I do not see it in a positive way at all. I see it, I'm fascinated by it in the sense that doctors feel like, one, it's interesting that they would pass people off back and forth to other, like they keep passing people off to each other. And then 2, to just blanketly state obesity or weight as an issue for everything. To me, it's such a freaking cop out. And, it just makes me really infuriated. Now, Angie, I know you've alluded to some medical issues you've had. What's been your experience? Have you had this phenomenon in your medical history, medical life?
I have not.
Okay.
I haven't had that, but I have secondhand seen the effects of just kind of the dismissal of it through my
your work, mom, right? Oh, through your mom too.
Well, okay. not through work, like through my mom. But it's I guess it's different, just like a different time frame. Like it wasn't so much like telling her to lose weight, but just not dealing with it at all and not educating, because patient education was not a thing, in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. And that's when she gained her weight, and that, that's when she dealt with her comorbidities. And, by the time the fallout came, it was too late to really do anything. Okay. So
we're going to put Colleen on the spot a lot today, if you don't mind.
You.
And I asked you to come here because you are very vocal about your medical situation and how you feel about how you've been treated throughout this. So why don't we just back up a little bit and let's talk a little bit about like when you first got ill, because like to me it just seems like it happened extraordinarily quickly. Yeah. I mean, and I'm sure, I don't know, we've never actually had this discussion, so I don't know. Like, did it seem that way to you, or did you like tell me from your perspective, like how it started?
I can remember exactly how it started. So I had been seeing a personal trainer. I got down to like 180, which for me puts me in a size 12. I'm very happy at that size. Working hard, enjoying going to the gym, which is that's not a phrase I ever thought would fly out of my mouth in my lifetime. And I'd done a lot of crunches one day, and the next day I couldn't turn my head. And the doctor was like, well, you did your crunches wrong. And I was like, I've been seeing a trainer for a year. He oversees me. Like, I didn't do my crunches wrong. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not some, what you see is a fat chick who laid down on her couch, threw her, feet under the couch and tried to do a couple sit-ups, yanking her neck. That's not what happened. So dismissed, hot and cold, whatever. And then my trainer.
Where were you living at this time?
Chattanooga.
What state were you? Chattanooga. Okay.
Yeah, this is after NC State.
After NC State, okay.
Yeah, it's after NC State. So I was in Chattanooga, and then the next week, my trainer had me doing ski jumps. And then I couldn't walk. I literally woke up and I could not walk. Wow. Ended up in the hospital because I was like, not being able to walk is not normal. So, if we could fix this, that'd be great. They had told me that a rheumatologist appointment, they couldn't make one for me. This was it's like March. They were like, well, we can't get you into the rheumatologist until November. And I was like, so what the fuck am I supposed to do until November? And it just so happened that while I was in the hospital, the rheumatologist was doing rounds. And he came by and he asked me what was going on. And I told him. And the other thing that was happening was that anytime I coughed or sneezed, I dislocated a rib. Extraordinarily painful. Super painful. And I had to go to a physical therapist to get them to pop it back in if I couldn't do it myself. And he was like, I know exactly what you have. And I was like, well, I sure do wish you would tell the other doctors, and maybe me, but whatever, tell the other doctors. And I was like, so what is it? And he was like, ankylosing spondylitis.
So
Now-
you had gotten that diagnosis like 10 years ago?
It was a little bit of time between the legs going out and the neck going out, I guess, because it took, there were months of them being like, you're fat, the pain is, my favorite was the pain is in your head, you need to go to counseling.
Because like I remember hearing that diagnosis as like I don't want to say definitive, but something that they kind of all agreed on at one point, not being very long ago, right? Or what?
Yeah,
so it's interesting to me that you heard that right off in the quote beginning, because from where I'm standing, that seems like a long time ago. Right.
Yeah. So what happened was he diagnosed me with ankylosing spondylitis, which is, some of y'all may have heard it. One of the Try guys has it, and he did a video on it, and it's essentially where your body is making too much bone. It's like rheumatoid arthritis, except with the bonus that your bones are fusing, especially your spine. Okay. So put me on all sorts of drugs and prednisone, massive doses of prednisone, and then I moved, and it bounced me between doctors, and the new rheumatologist didn't believe I was sick at all. That's what happened. New rheumatologist was like, number one, you're not sick. I'm taking you off of all of these medications. I don't see anything wrong on your x-rays. So of course I got sick again. And then I found a new rheumatologist, and that one was like, yeah, you're sick, but you don't have ankylosing spondylitis. You have rheumatoid arthritis. The medication is kind of the same for both a little bit, but what I didn't care. I was like, give me something that will make me feel better. I need to function. Like, I need to be able to go to work. I need to be able to walk. Like, I need to function. That was my only focus. And so I was getting really aggravated with the whole, like, yes, no, maybe we'll put you on these major drugs, but then we're going to take them off and tell you to take aspirin. And then like this whole back and forth. So
nobody took it the wrong way, Coffin Queen. Don't worry. And it's interesting to me. I just want to interject. I don't mean to like interrupt you, but this took some time, like, because you're talking about moving from, I'm assuming you're talking about moving from Chattanooga to California, right? Mm-hmm. So this wasn't like 6 months. This was like a year and like some length of time in between these situations happening. And then it seems like when you went to California, I was all like, yay, better doctors, please go see some better doctors. And then it seemed like you went and saw a lot of different doctors, and then we're going to we were looking for the right doctor, basically.
Yeah, essentially what happened when I moved to
some time.
Yeah, when I moved to California, so I spent 5 years in Chattanooga, and had a rough time in Chattanooga. Came out here, and I'm very lucky. I work at at a Cal State University. Our benefits are phenomenal, so we have health care. And I was like, when you get to choose your healthcare, I was like, oh, I know Blue Cross Blue Shield. That sounds really familiar. I'm going to use them. That was a terrible idea. Terrible. Because the problem is with Blue Cross Blue Shield, all of the providers are not on the same medical record system, right? You know this. You were a medical librarian.
That's not good.
So, which essentially means that every time you have to go to your specialist, you have to get another doctor to print out all your results and get you your x-rays and send them over to that other doctor before you can see that other doctor. And you have to do all that running around yourself. The doctors do not do this.
Did you switch to Kaiser?
Switch to Kaiser.
just checking.
Switch to Kaiser. They are all in the same. When you bring up
don't have care everywhere out there.
No, I mean, who's it through?
Well, Care Everywhere is a system that we have out here that, even because all the hospitals out here have different MR or EMRs as well, but through Care Everywhere, the doctors can access your charts regardless of your EMR system. So, but you have to like sign the release, obviously, and you have to be on an EMR system. So everybody can't necessarily access your chart But if you're on an EMR system, so if you're on Epic or Cerner or whatever other system you're on,
I think it's
my Blue
very
Cross folks were,
patchy here because when
Yeah,
I
my
lived
Blue
in
Cross-
when I
Blue
lived in
Cross.
Fremont, they had electronic records. When I go to one doctor here, they do. When I go to a different doctor, they don't. So it's very not that we haven't had anything like mandated by the state to be like, get your act together, guys. But
yeah.
who
And if you have
knows?
to pay to join a part of that as a practice,
They're not going to do
the
it.
Blue Cross folks are not jumping on that. So I moved to Kaiser literally because
Kaiser's a better system anyway.
I have had really good luck with them. But literally it was because I could go to my rheumatologist, and when she brings up my record, it brings up everything.
Everything.
I finally got a rheumatologist. She is about 4'9". She maybe weighs like 8 pounds soaking wet. And she was like, your medical records say that you were on this medication, but that's for AS. And then it says you are on this medication, but that's for RA. And then it says that you don't have this at all. So what's going on? And I was like, I don't know why you're asking me.
you're the doctor.
What do I know? I was like, literally, I know, like, I can tell you what hurts and how it hurts, like, very specifically. I was like, as to what it is, like, that's not my job. That's not my training. I got no idea. So she figured it was probably ankylosing spondylitis, and she sent it out for a genetic test that came back positive for, it's like HBL27 or something like that. I don't know.
So there's a genetic marker for it,
Yeah.
basically. Okay.
Yeah. So she was like, good, now we know which injections you need to give yourself every week. I was like, oh, good. That's exciting. Yeah, that's exciting. And it's not even a trigger pen. It's actual syringes.
Oh, mother of God.
And so she put me back on Enbrel. She put me on methotrexate. And for those of you who haven't been on methotrexate or seen it, I had to draw it myself. So I had to get syringes. I had to get the little vial like I was a nurse and like pull it. And this stuff is the nastiest color neon yellow you have ever seen in your life.
Oh, man.
In large doses, it's used as a chemo drug.
I was going to say, isn't it a chemo agent?
Yeah. Because they need to suppress my immune system, because my immune system is what is attacking myself. Yeah.
Problem.
Methotrexate had me puking my guts out 5 days out of 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's common with that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know anybody on it who hasn't had a bad experience. So.
And it helped with the pain, but I couldn't function.
Right.
I was thrown up all day. And so I finally told the rheumatologist and she's still very, and this is what I find that bad doctors lack. She is still professionally curious. She still goes to all the conferences. She's up on all the research, because when I throw a medical article at her, because I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm a librarian and I have access to the good stuff. So when it comes to like the research goodness, I'm like, I'm at a university, I got access to all the medical databases and CINAHL. And I was like, so I'm going to come at you with research and I'm going to ask you questions because I want to know. I'm not assuming I've been to medical school, but I'm assuming I understand how I feel. So she's been phenomenal about that. And then she was like, you should probably see a gastroenterologist for the fact that, you shit your brains out every day. And I was like, she was like, can you eat without getting sick? I was like, no. She was like, yeah, that's not normal. So she wrote me a referral to see my gastroenterologist, who's next door to her in the hospital.
That's good.
Who is also 4'9" and weighs 9 pounds. 4 colonoscopies later.
Oh, man.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong.
Which I don't understand, because your GI issues were something that was from way back. Like,
Way
that
back.
was
When I was a kid.
You'd known about that when we met. It was, you had already had surgery and had dealt with that issue prior.
They thought it was the endometriosis.
I mean, this has been something. Yeah, this is something that, to me, you've always had a GI issue. You've always had GI issues. So
they thought they were going to solve it with the hysterectomy. I had to have a hysterectomy in my early 20s. It was really bad. This is exciting. So endo hits a lot of women. Takes a lot of time for it to get diagnosed because people think women are being hysterical about their cramps. So finally got diagnosed, and they were like, yeah, it's, looks real bad. And I was like, yeah, it feels real bad. Like, I threw clots the size of Texas. It was awful. And I was like, you know what? I want a hysterectomy. I don't want kids anyway. I've known didn't want kids since I was like 8. Let's just do this and solve this whole problem. And I will never forget, the gynecologist looked me dead in the eye, and he was like, but what about if, you don't have a husband yet? What about if he wants kids? What if my theoretical husband wants children? I was 25, single, and living in a bathroom. I was like, how the hell am I going to find a husband? Like, this is not a problem in my life. And then the next thing he said, after being worried about my theoretical husband, was he was like, well, you know what helps solve this for most women? I was like, tell me, I will do it.
Have a baby.
Have a baby. I was a 25-year-old single girl working at Comp USA.
Living in a bathroom.
But he wants me to have a baby.
You want to be the baby daddy? Because you look like you can pay the child support.
Yeah, and this is why I will never again have a male gynecologist ever. I mean, I haven't been to one since 2006 because I had a hysterectomy, so I figure they took everything.
Why bother?
Yeah, they took everything that can be taken, so if anything's wrong now, like, oh well.
It's in a biohazard bag. So.
Yeah. But the degree to which, like, when my joint pain was a problem, they were like, well, you're fat. And I was like, well, actually, I'm a size 12, which for me is not fat, but you wouldn't know that because you didn't ask.
Right.
And I've gotten fat, absolutely, because I've been on prednisone every day for 13 years. It's just, and it's so, you already feel awful. Mm-hmm. You already don't understand why you feel awful. Mm-hmm. And you go to somebody that you hope will give you answers, right? And there are 3 things that'll happen. Either you get dismissed summarily, right, which feels awful because you're like, but I'm telling you I feel awful, and you're a doctor. You're supposed to help me, Number 2 is that they do help you. And number 3 is where they want to help you, but they can't find what's wrong, right? And I think this is what separates the good doctors from bad ones, is that the good ones will listen to you, right? My rheumatologist right now is telling me that the reason that I am in extraordinary pain is because my fibro is acting up and it's not the AS. And the reason she can say that is because she had me go do blood work and my inflammation markers are down. Right. She does not disbelieve that I am in pain. Right. They named this stuff fibro because they don't know what it is. And that's what they do with women, right? Mostly women that have fibromyalgia. But she didn't say you are not in pain. I will never forget talking to my gastroenterologist, and I forget what we were talking about. She didn't bring up my weight, but I did. And I was telling her how I was upset because it was hard to have any quality of life living in a bathroom. And I started crying, and I was like, and I swear I'm trying to lose weight. And this little bitty woman walked up to me and she said, honey, how are you supposed to lose weight when you're on prednisone? She's like, that's pretty physically impossible. It's just not going to happen. And I cried like a baby. So finding doctors that will listen. I don't understand why it's so rare. Like, you wanted to be a doctor. Why? So you could be an asshole? Mm-hmm. Like, that sounds like a terrible reason to take a job. And the last doctor I had, who did I go talk to? It might have been it was my primary, who usually we're on the same page. I've been complaining to her about lately just this all over body pain. And we know it's fibro, and we know nothing really works with fibro. And she was like, well, why don't you go listen to YouTube videos on theta waves and try to get the theta waves to your brain that causes deep healing. And I was like, okay. And I was like, but what? I was like, and I have a degree in mythological studies. I'm down for theta waves, like eventually, right? I was like, but what can I do about the pain? Because right now I can't even meditate. And she was like, well, I don't know what you want me to do. And I wanted to be like, look, you overeducated potato, like have some professional curiosity and work with me here. There have got to be, my rheumatologist sends me to my acupuncturist, and Mary knows this. My acupuncture doctor is amazing. He's like, hey, he doesn't say hey. He's a very formal, very tall. He's like 7 feet tall Korean doctor. And he's got his doctor in acupuncture from Korea, which takes like 9 years to get, something ridiculous. And he's also got a doctorate here in the US, medical doctor. So he's all doctored up, also a doctor, if you will. And he was like, stop eating rice. Oh, not rice. He says, no pasta, no cake, no ice cream.
What?
That was kind of my reaction. I was like, what did I do to you? I don't even know you. But it turns out, he also told me no tomatoes.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm like, this is starting to sound awfully a lot like the autoimmune protocol, which I know works. It just sucks because you can't eat anything decent, right? And don't you know, when I cut all that stuff out of my diet, I feel much better. And when I go to him, he listens to me. And then he does the needle thing, right? He sticks me and lays me under a heat lamp to help.
I love it. The best. Yeah, I love it.
And I was, I have a friend who's like, there's been no evidence that acupuncture works.
No way, man.
And I have all the anecdotal evidence you'll ever want.
That was the only hour a week I didn't feel any pain, and I slept like a dead person. They put the needles in. They were like, we're going to go. I'm like, yeah, just shut the lights and come to the blanket over me. And I would just pass out. They would have to wake me up because I was so exhausted from being in pain all the time that, I remember when she put the first needle in, and I felt like my entire leg unlock all the way from like my back of my hip to like my foot. Because I'm an idiot because the whole time while I'm pregnant, I'm noticing that I'm losing feeling on the bottom of my left foot, right? That it's numb. And I'm like, oh, it's just pregnancy. But meanwhile, it's because my SI joint and my sciatic nerve are being like compressed because they're all out of whack. And like I waited until I couldn't walk. Like I literally remember I sat down to go to the bathroom. I tried getting up and I couldn't walk. And it was in the most pain I've ever been in my life. And I was in labor for 3 hours without medication. And it still was not as bad as the SI joint.
The SI joint
is the worst. But that acupuncture was literally the first time in I remember being on the couch hysterical crying to Scott because I was like, I am in so much pain. And they wouldn't give me any, this was with Ava. So Marielle is like a 1-year-old running around. I'm trying to like deal with that. And they wouldn't give me any kind of shots because they'd have to do it in the back of my hips. And they're like, you're pregnant. We're not doing that. They wouldn't give me any drugs because I'm pregnant. And so they were like, and so one doctor gave me about a prescription for like 20 pain meds and was like, just don't only take these if you feel like you're going to go to the emergency room. So like 10 days later, they were gone and I needed something. And that was what I found. I was so desperate. I like looked up pain doctors in Yelp for the best reviewed person was this acupuncturist. And
I believe it.
I was like amazed by it. So yeah, I don't care what anybody says. It worked for me.
And I will say, Mary's going to
not mental because I was in too much pain.
Mary's gonna. That's why I tell people about my stomach. I was like, it's not in my head, it's in my ass. I guarantee you. Like, it's a real problem. But about the acupuncture, and Mary's gonna laugh because she knows exactly who I'm talking about. I used to date a guy who was half Chinese, and he would always say, "Colleen, 3,000 years of Chinese medicine can't be wrong."
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that it helped me.
Yeah.
You don't have to go. Don't yell at me for going.
It's covered, and it was covered under my health. It's covered under my health insurance, so I don't care anymore. I'm just like, it's literally the only piece I got for that entire time. So much that I kept going up until probably about a year ago because I don't need it much anymore. But it was the only relief I had, and I can't imagine being in pain like that all the time. Like, I mean, I was, but now I can't imagine it not having an ending. Like that's
it's a mind fuck.
It is. I mean, you know me, I don't cry easily at anything. And I was like 2:00 in the morning because I couldn't even go up the stairs. I was like living in my recliner and crying in it to my husband saying, I just want the pain to go away. I just want the pain to go away. And for me to cry like that, it has to really be pain. I have to be in a lot of pain. And I can't imagine like feeling like this is not going to stop at any time. And I think that would be devastating to me. I
told, and I've got it a lot better than some. I've been having a really, really bad flare of whatever it was. I don't care if it was the AS or the fibro, whatever it was chewing me up really badly. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't lay down comfortably, couldn't sit comfortably, couldn't stand comfortably. Like I hurt in my bones. When you can feel your heartbeat
everywhere.
That's how it was for me. But like, if you've ever been horribly damaged at some point, you know how you can feel your heartbeat in that part of you. It is like that like slamming my whole body in a door sort of thing. And it's exhausting to be in that much pain. And, it gets to the point where, especially if you like, the AS is a degenerative condition, right? So I know that at some point I'm going to be in that kind of pain all the time. It's going to happen, right? But being in that much pain, like I have Mary on speed dial. And there are some nights at 2 a.m. where I hover over her number because there are days when I need to be reminded. I don't dare call my mother because she's super, super supportive, but I would never tell her that I'm contemplating suicide ever. She'd murder me and then bring me back to life. But I have had nights, and a lot of them have been recent, where I hover over Mary's number, Robin's number, because you get to this space where you're like, if this doesn't end, how long can I do this? And it's a terrible question to have to ask. What if your leg was broken and not set and it hurt like that all the time?
Yeah.
All the time. Except now imagine that in all of your joints. You have 27 bones in your hand, in one hand. Sucks big time when your joints hurt. And so that's the space that I've been in lately, which is, joint pain is amazing. Toasty Phoenix all up in here. Sorry, that was a bit ago. It's just pain is, and I just want to, like,
Colleen is heavily tattooed, if you can't tell, and she's got her head tattooed, which is the hardest part, probably one of the most painful places in your body to get tattooed. So she's got an incredibly high pain tolerance, if anyone is wondering.
Yeah, I pride myself.
Yeah, she does. She really does.
I pride myself on my pain tolerance. I shaved my head and got both sides done, 5 hours a piece. And I consider that a 9 on the pain scale. Consider that a 9. My hysterectomy was a 6. 7, 6. So when I tell my doctors, when they ask me what it is on the pain scale, and I tell them it's an 8, I don't think that they always understand what kind of an 8 I am. When people who are coming in and like with like a bruised hand or like it's a 10. And so like I said, my girlfriend took me to urgent care this past weekend before. And I was like, they're not going to believe me because pain is a bitch, because then you've also got the opioid crisis that's going on, right? Which complicates pain even more.
Right.
And so, I was like, they're not going to believe me. That's why I don't go until I'm in like emergency room level pain.
Right.
And the guy was like, yeah, your blood pressure is like 185 over 102. I believe you're in pain because I can see your medical record because Kaiser. And he's like, and I can see you're usually 105 over like 72. And it's so validated. It feels stupid to me.
No, it's not stupid at all.
After being dismissed for so long, when a doctor is like, yes, you are in pain. I'm like, oh God, thank you. It's messed up.
I mean, I just had to find us Scott and I new doctors, and we're going for our first like checkup with their new doctor in July. And when I made the appointments, the first words out of the nurse's mouth were, I just want you to know that this doctor does not prescribe pain medication. And I was like, well, that's fine. I don't need pain medication. I'm like, does he prescribe mental health meds? Because that's what I need a prescription for. And she was like, well, yeah, that's fine. I'm like, okay, I don't care. But I mean, like, that's how bad it is over here, is in this area where we are, which we are kind of in a really high end area for certain drugs here. So just because of a geographic location, but like we have doctors here who won't even give pain medication to people. So that, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, that's fucking amazingly bad. that's the situation that we're in.
Do you want to play a fun game? I'm going to give you a math problem.
Oh no.
It's easy though. It's an easy math problem, right?
Okay. Yes.
Your doctor gives you 10 pain pills and tells you to take one before bed each night because all you're looking for is to be knocked out enough to sleep for like 4 hours. So you got 10 pills, right? On day 7, you are so bad that she decides that now she wants you to be on 3 pills a day instead of the 1. So you go to the pharmacy to fill the 3 pills a day prescription because you only have
3 left, 2 left,
3 left, which is a day's worth on the new script.
Right.
I'm sorry you filled it for the month already. I was like, pardon me? I was like, this is a new prescription. This is for 3 a day. That was for 1 a day written, a week ago. Yeah, well, and I was like, but this is a new prescription. She just saw me new, wants me on the new one. They made me wait 7 days.
Oh my God. That's criminal.
Like, it is so difficult. And I don't mean that they should be giving it out like candy. I understand that there are complications, but the chronic pain, and the other thing is that chronic pain is a pain in the ass because if you use opioids, right, your body builds up a pain tolerance. Right. And then you need more in order to get the same effect. And that just keeps snowballing. Right. So you don't want to use these things all the time. Like, I am fine with living at a 6 on the pain scale. I can do that and still work. Higher than that, and I get too distracted by the pain, and it makes it really difficult. And now, because I'm old now, apparently my blood pressure spikes into like stroke range, which is less than cool. Yeah, less than cool. So I have the meds for emergency use. But I was able to, I waited. Can you imagine some of these elderly folks who get told no and they just turn away and they don't have anybody to advocate for them. You know, it's a lot.
How
And
long
it's
was it before they told you to see someone recommended seeing a therapist to you?
not long at all. The primary, I have switched primary care doctors 4 times since I've been here. I finally landed on the one I've got right now. Who, to give her credit, like there's not a lot you can do for pain after you've already pain meted somebody.
Right.
So like the theta wave thing, I appreciate that she's looking at alternative things. I do. At the time, I was really pissed about it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go rub kale on it and pray to crystal too.
Right.
But the other docs were all like, well, you know, you need to lose weight and you need to see a therapist. And I'm like, how is that going to help my pain? Unless the therapist is trained, right, in the kinds of mindfulness techniques that help you literally rewire your brain so that you feel pain less awfully, which is possible, right? But unless they are specifically trained, you can't just say like, go to a therapist. It doesn't work that way. You know, like me feeling better. I feel great about myself. I'm still going to eat that pint of Magnum ice cream that's in my freezer. Like, I'm just saying.
I don't have any ice cream in my freezer.
Neither do I. Oh well. So just to keep so CBD products don't work for you, I know, or not well, and you don't like taking you don't take medical marijuana either.
It gives me a hangover.
Yeah.
Which I'm very sad about because my rheumatologist actually told me, and my primary, they were like, so medical marijuana.
What do you think?
Yeah. And I was like, I'm open to it. And it doesn't matter how much or how little I take, it always gives me a hangover. And then I had a friend ask me, she was like, well, what's better, the pain or the hangover? Like, take it.
Neither.
Yeah. I'm like, right now we're arguing over like which type of pain is better. I just can't.
Why would somebody ask you that? Like,
because people don't know how to act. People don't know what to say. Like, I mean, I think that's part of it is that, like, I don't know. Like for me and Colleen, Colleen and I have this relationship. We can say whatever we want to each other. So it doesn't bother me. Like I can ask her really dumb questions or I can say really stupid shit and she'll know that I'm not taking it. Like I'm not saying it from a nasty place. I'm saying it from like, I'm a dumb idiot about this. So please enlighten me. But like, I think for a lot of people, when you're faced with a friend or a loved one or a partner or yourself, like, you know, that are living like with this, we don't know what to say because what can you say? There's nothing I'm going to say to you is going to make you feel better other than saying, I truly believe that you are in as much pain as you say you are. And I wish there was something I could do about it. And I do. I wish if I could snap my fingers and make it all go away, I would do it in a heartbeat. I don't know what to do. Like the best things I've come up with for Colleen are like, I'll come down and visit you and I'll like clean your house and I'll cook for you. Or like, you know, when we go somewhere, I'll ask you, are you up for walking today? Like, can you like, I'll be considerate of your physical limitations or what you need. But I don't think people think that way very often because I think that we probably tend to believe that most people are exaggerating the pain that they're in.
Right.
I really do think that. I do. Because, you know, people complain, you know, how do you feel? So I have a headache, whatever. You know, like if people are always like something's bothering. When you hit a certain age, something's definitely bothering you, right? So unless you know what that person's going through, I don't know what people can say to something like that. Like I just know that I know what's going on.
I just don't think that I would say to somebody, well, what's worse, the pain or the hangover? Like, well, I wouldn't tell somebody to choose the hangover. Like, quit your bitching and get high. Like, that's just what it sounds like, you know, like.
I would hope that they're asking, like, legitimately asking,
your
like,
best
is it
interest
worse?
at heart when they said that. Like, Like, this is their last choice. Colleen, this is your last choice, doctor. Like, just here, just here. Like, this is your adjunct therapy, and you're just gonna have a little hangover. Get used to it. Like, I know that they probably had your best interest at heart, but I mean, I'm used to being the asshole in the conversation and saying stupid stuff like that. And like, I've been working really hard on myself this past year, and Mary can tell you, like, I've been working really hard on not being that kind of person. Like, and like, I would have said something like that to somebody that I cared
that's
about.
okay. There's, when I studied for my PhD, mythological studies sounds really cool, but we studied the religious traditions around the world, right? And the myths, the stories that come up out of all of these religions. And part of it ends up being studying cultural artifacts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the literature, along with the religion. And we, like Northern European American type people, have done a really shitty job of culturally understanding and relating to pain and death. We are really bad at it, to the point that it's pathological. Like, we try to keep our people alive beyond the point of salvation. Pain is something that, chronic pain especially, people don't know how to talk about it, because the way that we've been brought up to understand pain is you get hurt, you go to a doctor, they do a thing, and you feel better. Right. When you are never going to feel better, right? Asking somebody like, how are you doing today? Like, my answer is always, fine, how are you? Or, it's a rough day, how are you doing? Like, I'm not going to tell you how my day actually is unless you're married. Because when she asks, I figure she actually wants to know. Because we've known each other for more than a decade, and she knows that, my fine is not really usually a fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional.
Yeah. Exactly that. So it's just something that people don't understand. And I remember when I learned about the spoon theory. Both of you know the spoon theory?
Yeah, you only have so many spoons for your day. My neighbor taught me that.
Yep. If you don't know it, y'all, go look it up. It's super useful when you're talking to your friends who have chronic issues. And I remember sharing it with my mother. And essentially it talks about how you only have so much energy in a day. And if you're a chronic pain patient, how much energy you have in a day changes day to day. Essentially, that's it, right? And I remember sharing that story with my mother, who I was trying to get to understand, because she loves me. I know she believes me, but she didn't have any framework to understand. Like, why can you climb a wall on Tuesday to hang a picture frame, and on Thursday you're using a cane? This is weird. And I shared that with her, and she was like, this makes so much more sense. This is so helpful as a person who loves somebody with a chronic condition, to be able to understand, because it breaks my heart every time somebody asks me to go somewhere and I can't. Like, it breaks my heart when, Mary's like, come up, visit, see the girls, we'll have fun. I'm like, oh, can't make it happen. And she has never made me feel judged for that. And the other thing is, she always keeps asking. And not in a naggy kind of way, but in a you're always welcome. Yeah, kind of way.
We have a mindset
I
of
struggle
just
with that.
through. Yeah. There's also kind of like depression. You have good days, but it doesn't mean you're not. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I know what I'm like if I'm not on my depression medication. Like, I feel that instantly. Like, I mean, it sounds weird. Like, I mean, I know what that, like, if I go off, like, I tried with my first pregnancy to go off of my Wellbutrin. I think I made it 4 days before I was back in the doctor saying, seriously, can I just please take my medication? Because I can't deal with this right now. And they were like, yeah, because any damage that might possibly happen to your kid is not anywhere near damage you're doing to yourself right now by being like that. I'm like, I was like literally sobbing in the office going, I can't function as a human being without this. So can you please tell me I can take it? And can't imagine, in my frame of reference, I can't imagine that feeling manifesting itself in physical pain. And yes, depression does manifest itself in physical pain, but not to the amount chronic, that chronic pain.
Not.
So I think that's a really good analogy. But and like depression, I think that with chronic pain, it affects every single aspect of your life. Like I know with Colleen, like, it affected your marriage, it affected your job, professional life, it affects your relationship with your family, with your friends. I mean, it's everywhere. And, if you are not, if you have to, I mean, I'll say this, but I don't feel like I've ever had to, because I mean, I think if you're somebody who's friends with someone who has a chronic illness, you have to kind of change the type of friend that you become, or like how you, and I don't feel like I ever have, because Colleen and I are very happy to just sit on the couch and like vegetate. So I'm like, and I sleep till like 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I come visit her, because I can't at home. So I'm not. And I
really, close the door and protect.
Yeah, she leaves me. And we've traveled together, and we're pretty similar. We're not big like partiers. We're like, let's just chill, relax by the pool kind of thing. So it's not like we're anybody's really being put out by each other's limitations. But I think for other people, it's really difficult. Like I can see how your mom might have a really hard time with this, especially, I mean, just your mom being your mom, who's very she's like a toothpick. She's very energetic. She's like, really, really into it. And then, you have your sister who's like a freaking triathlete, strong woman who has and she's probably just like, where are the genetics in this family? Like, no offense, but it's just, you can't not compare that and be like, I don't know what to think,
Yeah.
I mean, I know what to think because I understand. But it's difficult for other people if you don't feel anything, you don't have this experience, if you've never felt terrible in your life. I mean, I've been obviously I've been ill, I've had surgeries, I've been down, I know what it's like. But if you're somebody who's been relatively healthy your entire life, and your framework for this is a very, very several people removed kind of observer, it's hard for you to know what to say and do and how to respond. And I mean, I think that the best thing I say is just ask the question and don't be an idiot. To me, it's I would rather just ask you point blank, I don't know about this. Tell me what it is. What's it about? How you feeling? And you'd happily tell me so that I can, when you say it to me next time, I know what you're talking about. Right.
And I'm going to say we, and I really mean I, because I can't speak for the whole, disabled chronic pain community. But ask. Seriously ask, even just being interested and recognizing means so much, and Coffin Queen is saying, we have a mind of just push through, especially if you're in a sport. And I will say, and I'm sure folks out there, Mary, you will understand this. I don't know, Angie, but I grew up very blue collar, where it was drink a great big glass of suck it up a teen and go back and do it again. So being in pain is a failure, right? At one mental level, just being in pain itself. Being in chronic pain is another one. And then if it impacts your work, there's a very class-based, I work in a white collar job now. I'm very lucky. My parents did the work to lift me up. My friends did the work to lift me up. But when I miss work, I'm out to my colleagues with my disability. They're all very kind, very supportive at this workplace. I feel like a complete failure if I can't function, if I can't work. Right. So if I take a day off of work a sick day because I'm in pain, I can't lay on the couch and read. Because I'm but you couldn't work. Right. You can read? Really? And there's just that little, the blue collar angel right there, right?
Angel of judgment.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but like one of the angriest things I ever like felt completely, like one time that I got really upset, like angry upset, was before I got married. And I knew you were having, you were figuring it out. You were figuring your issues out. You were still kind of in the process of getting medication under control. And I think it seems like it was, you were in a bad place at that time. And I asked you if you would be in my wedding, and you got so like the fact that you had to say to me and ask me or say to me that you didn't know if I'd want you in my wedding because you had to use a cane to walk down the aisle. I got so angry. I was like what the, I was like, who cares? Like, I mean, it was just like, I was so angry that you had to think like that, or had to even like that anybody, even if you asked that question, would possibly turn around and say, well, actually, I really do have a problem with that. It's going to fuck up my pictures. Like, I mean, like that to me, I was just like, no. I was like, this is normal. Like, this is just what normal is right now. Like, this is not anything. I mean, it sucks and it's not what we want as normal, but this is normal. And I just remember seeing Scott. I was like, can you believe that this is what she said to me? Like, I am so upset that she felt that she had to ask me this question. I was just like, oh my God.
And that was more me. That was more on me than you, because
I know.
Coffin Queen is pointing out ableism, and I will tell you that, like, so if you are looking for it and if you are conscious of it, pointing out ableism becomes easier the more you understand what it is. Mm-hmm. The internalized ableism is a horrible thing. Like, the hateful things I think to myself about myself because I am sick. I had someone when I first got sick, it was a boss that I thought was a friend. I was 8 months in. I was still struggling to figure it out. They were still struggling to figure out my meds. And she turned around and she was like, it's been 8 months. Haven't you figured this out already? Like, when is this going to end? And I'll never forget that, ever. Mm-mm. It's... because I was like, wouldn't I love to know? And if I had an answer like, hey, November, I'll be cool.
Exactly.
There can't be so many people pretending to be in pain for fun that you need to ask somebody that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, personally, I would never, I don't question anybody's pain. Like, I might question it in my private of my own, like, mind, but I would never ask anybody to, like, I would not ask anybody anything like that. Never gonna happen. Like, I would, because, like, to me, I mean, like, it's just what you said. Like, who's gonna lie? Why would you lie about that? Like, why would you lie for 8 months about something like that? To me, like, that's just so,
that's a long game.
It's the stupidest thing I've
spend
ever
all
heard.
that money and all that time,
right? And
so
like,
many props and
waste
get
all that time and everything. I mean, I know there are crazy people out there that do.
We're
shit
glad
like
you're here, Coffin
time.
Queen.
Thank you. But like,
yeah.
I mean, like, to what end? Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What? You're not getting anything out of it because you're obviously not getting any sympathy from these people. So,
Exactly.
like, I don't know what they think. The prize is for this.
Is there a prize?
I don't know. I guess not.
Because I would very much like a prize.
It's weed. Smoke up.
Yeah,
apparently, it's weed.
I mean,
the number of people who are like, that's a fucking tragedy. They're telling you to smoke medical grade only. And you have to say no.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I just don't understand where people I mean, it is a level of level of ableism. There is almost like I don't know what else like other thing to call it because I maybe like it's almost classist in a way that I mean it's ableism, right? Like that people like who are healthy, who don't suffer from any of these things, are fortunate enough to not have this kind of situation in their life, and then the assumptions that they make over other people. And I think, it sucks when pain is the issue because you can't see it, right? Like you can't with your illness, you cannot point to something that's broken, like in a break, like brace something that you can say, this is what's bothering me. It's an invisible illness. Right. So now you really are even doubly having to feel like you have to justify this to people because
it looks weird when they're like, well, you've been coming to work for 2 weeks and you're fine, but today you're using a cane, and then 2 weeks later you're not using a cane. Like, why is Colleen playing with a cane? I'm like, yes. Why am I playing with a cane?
I don't know. Like, I just feel like we've all had grandparents who've gotten older and less mobile, right? Like, I mean, do we all know people who as they get older, they get mobile? Why is it so less mobile? Why is it so hard to believe that one day somebody needs assistance, the other day they don't? Like, to me, that's normal. Like, I wouldn't even blink at that. Like, honestly, I really wouldn't. Like, I don't care who. I mean,
well, why does anybody care?
Why it's not? Why is it anybody's business
today and not tomorrow? Like,
why are they watching you like that, Colleen?
Well, seriously, if you work with any women come to work with wigs on today and not wigs on tomorrow, or short wigs today and long wigs tomorrow, or red wigs today and blue wigs tomorrow. And people don't bat an eye. So why would somebody care if you come with a cane today and not a cane tomorrow? Because if you came with a cane every day and today it was red or blue and tomorrow it was yellow or green, it wouldn't make a difference. So maybe today you come with the shoes that support your back. You're coming for 2 weeks and the shoes are doing the job, but nobody knows that.
Yeah.
And it's nobody's business because at the end of the day, you share your disability at your discretion because it's still just your business. And people I don't know. I guess exactly, Coffin Queen.
You want to hear something
we're gonna
funny?
Get you some platforms with dead fish floating around in them.
Coffin Queen is gonna love this, I think. So when I was really sick, especially at the beginning, and I needed a cane to walk, Mary, I get it right now, except it's out of the car. Mary and her husband sent me a cane, and it is purple paisley, and we refer to it as the purple paisley pimp cane. I awesome. Still have that thing. How many years has it been?
Oh my God, it's been like 12 years. It's awesome.
That's hilarious.
I was going to say, because I think there was even another time where we were all together for like a trip or something, and you forgot your cane, and Scott went and bought you like a collapsible one. Like, did he go get you one? Because you were like, I need it. And you're just like, pshaw. Yes. Like, okay. So, like, I don't know. Like, I just don't find these things to be abnormal, I guess. I mean, I just don't bat an eye to it. To me, it's, like, no different than putting on shoes or needing something. I don't know. Like, whatever. I think, so the next thing I want to say is, so we've talked about on this show, in previous topics, we talked about, like, levels of concern trolling that we get when we're overweight. There's a lot of that. So, I can only imagine that there comes with us with having a chronic disability. There's definitely a level of concern trolling. Now, do you feel like there's a level of concern trolling that's like doubled being overweight and having a chronic disability? Do you get a lot of like, but if you lost 50 pounds, you'd feel so much better and your joints would be so much happier.
Would the keto diet help with your inflammation markers?
And this is what so. Nobody in my friend circle has said anything.
We know better.
When somebody catch a fist in the lip. there's a
From me, not from
there's a running joke between me and my friends, and it's, have you rubbed kale on it? As sort of the way that everybody feels like, and I understand that for most people, I believe this, for most people, it comes from a place of wanting to help, that they are going to ask you, well, have you tried yoga? Because I hear yoga helps. Or have you tried the keto diet? Because I hear that's helping a lot of people. Have you tried, and I've gotten to the point where I now just smile and nod, because I promise you, I have tried everything except theta waves, and it's on my to-do list for tonight, is to look into theta waves. I shit you not.
Just be careful with that meditation. Mary and I found out.
I know, we had a whole
dangerous.
conversation about that, like on Monday. You should really listen to
I know, yeah.
Don't go. Make sure it does not last 10 hours. Just
No,
10 days. 10 days. Talk to
10 days.
somebody.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Mine
for
is good.
I'm looking for 15 minutes apiece.
Don't take any tea from a man in orange robes that you don't know.
Right.
No, but so people try to be helpful, with all of their recommendations, which anybody who has any kind of an illness at any point has dealt with. Like, oh, you got a cold? Better drink a hot toddy.
Put some Windex on it.
Yeah, it's just put some Windex on it. It's just turned up to 11 when it's chronic, because there's never a time when you are like, the way I go through my day, except for really bad days when I know that the pain is more than I can bear, right? The way that I usually go through my days when I'm living at a 6 on the pain scale, which is usual 5 to 6, is that I have gotten to the point that I assume everybody operates that way, because I don't think I could bear to think of it otherwise.
Right.
But yeah, so in terms of the overweight thing, the number of diets that are recommended to me, it's a lot. And I try to take it from a place of grace and gratefulness that somebody cares enough to say what they think will help. But at a certain point, I have to be like, it doesn't matter if I looked like Megan, my sister, who's an Ironman triathlete, right? My body would still be trying to destroy me.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's something in that people just shy away from, like that. Like, but
because we want things to be solvable.
Yes.
Because we cannot bear to think that what is you're going through could possibly ever be my reality or anyone's reality, really, that, there's no answer, right? I mean,
right.
I know with you've only come to this place where you, like, after that doctor said to you, why the hell do you even think you'd be losing weight on prednisone? Like, you've only taken that to heart recently. That's only been not very long that you just accepted that this is what it is. And because you kept trying and trying and trying and getting more upset and and like ends up becoming this really bad feedback loop of feeling like you're failing. And, even when we say to you, like, why are we even, like, at this point, why are you even bothering with that? That's not the issue. That's not the priorities. Like, priorities are not, weight's not the priority. Like, we want to stop the pain, not the weight. And it wasn't until that doctor said something to you that, like, kind of just smacked you in the face with, like, actual medical biological facts, right? That you were like, oh yeah, this is, I'm not supposed to be doing this right now. I should not be wasting my time and energy on this problem, because this problem's not really even a problem in the grand scheme of what I'm feeling right now. Ableism and fat phobia, it's easy to blame everything on weight. Yeah, it really is easy to blame everything on weight. I think even as a healthy person, I could probably walk into a doctor's office and they'd find something to blame my weight on, I'm sure. Right? I mean, I wouldn't find that to be, I wouldn't find that unbelievable if they did. And some medication makes you get, that's exactly, Colleen's been on prednisone for 13 years. So yeah, that's what led us to this part of the conversation. Yeah.
My moon face.
Beautiful flower moon face.
Right. That's right. God damn dog, what are you doing? My dog is like ripping shit off. Not your dog, my dog.
Thank you, Coffin Queen.
Yeah, so I mean, like, that's really what I kind of like. One of the points I wanted to bring out was that, you know, it's hard enough when you're at a normal weight, but when you're at a heavier weight, this makes this whole situation more complicated, because it almost feels like you have people making an assumption against you already from the start. Did you feel that from medical practitioners, or did you get that a lot, or did they, like, you know, were they smart enough to know that possibly one is not the cause of the other, or vice versa?
I felt like that a lot at the beginning when they were bumbling around trying to figure out what was going on. Because, you know, they were like, well, you're overweight. And then I would explain that, you know, actually, do you see the definition of my arms? I'm thick. I'm thick fit. Because I was at the time.
I'm fat, but I'm like normal fat.
Yeah. You know?
Like, Angie knows why I said that. I'm like normal people fat.
But yeah, so at the beginning, the doctors were really quick to throw the weight thing out. And even the rheumatologists, and I have to give the rheumatologists credit, because the rheumatologists are concerned with your joints. And carrying extra weight is known to be super detrimental to your joints, right? So it's kind of the rheumatologist's job to bring it up as a factor, right? And that's what I appreciated my better doctors doing, was saying, you know, losing weight would probably help a little bit with your mobility. It's not going to cure the disease, right? But then they were like, but we also have you on massive doses of prednisone, so.
But I mean, also, how many people do we know that have similar issues with, like, either arthritis or inflammatory, other kinds of inflammatory disorders or autoimmune disorders, where they can't even exercise without causing, like, massive pain? So why even bother if you're going to exacerbate the pain for days afterwards? Why, you know, if it's not going to help it but make it feel worse, why would you even try to do that?
I did that. Mary knows I did this, because I was like, fine, you want me to exercise and lose weight so I can feel better? I will do anything to be out of pain. And I would go hit the elliptical. I would go hit the bike, because I'm like, I know I need to do low impact, because impact, I punched a heavy bag a couple of times during one of my trips to a gym. I could not move my arms or my shoulders for like a week and a half. It was awful. You know, and going and doing all of these things, part of it was that my system was already inflamed, right? And doing that kind of
more
thing,
damage
and you're
on top
inflamed,
of it.
yeah, you're damaging yourself. Like walking around a neighborhood leisurely would probably have been good. I tried to walk around a neighborhood fast, and I came home and passed the hell out. They were like, your blood pressure's not doing so well. I was like, so yeah, it's a battle to feel like you are doing everything you need to do to be okay, and to know that everybody is watching you, because one, you're big enough that they can see you, right? And number two, because they're waiting to see why you are still sick. Like, is it because you are doing something to keep you sick? You know, and I've asked myself all these questions. Mary knows. I'd be like, I got my tests back. They say I'm inflamed, so I really am in pain. And she's like,
duh.
Colleen, you said you were in pain. Why do you need a test? You know, I've been very well trained by the medical establishment.
But I mean, like, the thing that I noticed about you that I was just thinking about when you talk about walking is, like, you know, you even refuse sometimes to even acknowledge that you have an illness yourself. Because I remember you clearly telling me that you were going to walk to and from work at this place. And I was just like, really? You're going to walk to and from work? Okay. You were like, I don't need to have my car. I'm going to walk. And I was like, you're not. I was like, you're not. Why would you do that? Like, First of all, it's hot. Like, that's the first thing. Why would you want to walk in the heat? And second of all, you can't. I'm like, and I'm not saying that to be mean to you. I'm just like, why would you want to do that so that you can get to work and be sweaty and then be in pain and be aggravated for the rest of your day? Like, why? I was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I am still, and this snuck up on me the other day. Like, I am still coming to terms with the whole, like, I only live a half a mile from work. I should be able to walk to work. And there's that should be be able. Thanks, Coffee
Queen. Thanks for bye,
Coffee Queen.
There's that should be able to that haunts me all the time. Like, I should be able to do that. I should be able to do this. What do you mean you're too tired to do that? You live alone and you have no kids. Like, what the hell am I tired from? So
I struggle with that exact same thing. Like, I have a teeny tiny apartment and I should be able to keep it spotless. And it's me and my cat. And what do you mean you can't? Like,
yep, same.
This is about you, not me today. I just wanted you to know you're not alone.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I have no judgment whatsoever. I don't. No, I don't. I have none. Excuse me for 1 second. I have to go chill with my children for a minute.
I hear the party outside the room. Party at Mary's house.
That's right, jamming. I keep hoping that we might get like a shot of Igor in the picture.
Oh, I see Dave back there.
Yeah, he's just chilling.
He's just chilling now. He's up in his little recliner there.
He stays in the quiet space. I love it. He's like, it's quiet up here.
Well, I have to say, I have learned quite a bit. My sister, I am the youngest of 5, and I have a sister who's 21 years older than me, and I have a sister who's 17 years older than me. And the sister who's 17 years older than me, she actually passed away last November. She was thank you very much. She was a cancer survivor, and she also had rheumatoid arthritis. She, there was so much of your story that just reminded me so much of her, like, especially when you said when you're in pain, you're a failure, and when you have chronic pain, that's another. This woman worked herself sick. She worked sick every day. She would be so sick before it took so long for them to diagnose her. There were days when she would get up and she would just keep her arms like this, and her significant other would dress her, brush her teeth, clean her up, brush her teeth, and she would come to work and work. After her cancer diagnosis and treatment, she worked from home sick until she literally couldn't work. And it wasn't that I didn't believe her.
Say hi to Mama.
Oh,
hey, yo, baby.
That's Colleen's dog.
I haven't seen him before.
It's
so
my
sweet.
Igor. Hello.
Sweet, handsome baby.
Hey, Harvey.
He's like my pepperoni.
Look at that handsome baby.
So handsome.
Mr. Droopy Drawers over there.
Yes.
But just understanding pain, like understanding the depth and the breadth of her pain is not something, sometimes I think it's one thing to say, I believe you. I believe that you're in pain and what can I do for you? But to understand the depth of it, is a different thing altogether. And I'll never understand the depth of it because I'll never feel it. Like, the little smiley faces from 0 to 10, is that's one thing. Like, I can get that. Like, we can all describe that, but it's like you said, like the bruise on my hand could be my 10 and that's your 2. So it doesn't always translate out the same. But I just wanted to say thank you for sharing because I learned a lot today, and I learned a lot about understanding and you know, just being able to speak a new language today. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I appreciate you guys bringing me on.
No, we're glad to have you.
It's something that I think about a lot nowadays, especially I just moved into a management position for the first time in a long time.
Comment.
Are you dropping the hammer too?
No comment.
No, I used to work under Mary.
So Scott keeps telling me that we should do a show, L is for librarian, and we should have a story time. And I keep saying, nobody wants to hear this.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'll just have to, I'm like, you know, I was like, Angie's not a librarian. She won't want to hear any of this crap. And
I'll just come poop up
yeah,
the chat.
I was like, you know, maybe, and then I'm like, maybe I could get like, you know, Colleen and maybe like a couple other people in our little group to come on, and we can all share like library stories, and
Absolutely,
you know, and Angie can like
y'all
interview
y'all
us
would
or
not
something.
believe you all
I know,
would
I
not
was
believe
like-
the drama that happens in libraries. You wouldn't
I was
believe
like,
it.
I
You
could
should
tell
have
the story of
Nova
how I thought I was
interview you.
being held up at the circulation desk that one time. Like, you know, all that.
The SWAT team that was across the street at the
Oh my
bank
God.
robbery outside my office.
Yo, I had the FBI
Oh,
outside
man.
my apartment door one time because there was a US bank across the street from the apartment I lived in, and my neighbor that lived in the apartment across from me robbed the freaking bank and then came home. It was all on camera.
That's
So
awesome.
my daughter went out and she walked out the apartment and she went downstairs, and then she calls me. She's like, Mom, where are you? And I'm like, you just left me. She's like, Mom, stay in the bedroom. And I'm like, why? She goes, Mom, the FBI's coming upstairs right now. They're coming upstairs. And I'm
And so you're at the
yeah, that's exactly what I did.
I know.
And yeah, well, we could talk about the time that the cat fell through the ceiling in the library right on my desk.
Yeah. Or when a staff member I fired threatened to kill me.
Then they hired her back, and she threatened to kill the dean, and then they finally fired her because that was
Well, that was a
Oh
different
my
one. That
gosh.
was a different one. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh my god.
Yes.
I
multiple death
forgot about that one. I forgot about
I
that
think that let's see. Let me look at the calendar here.
one.
Let me look at the calendar.
Oh,
I
God.
think
That was how Colleen and I met. We went to an ALA in it was
Yeah, we met on
in
Twitter.
Anaheim?
Anaheim.
It was we met online before. We were on Twitter together, in library and Twitter. Then we went to ALA in Anaheim. It was summer, right?
Yes,
Summer. It was
summertime.
annual. And we met at a gathering, like a bar, and we started talking, and we were like, oh my God, we grew up like 30 minutes away from each other. And then I was like, oh, I'm looking for an assistant department head. And the rest of
You should apply. I
Yeah,
thought
like,
she
you
was
should
kidding. And then she called
I
me.
wasn't kidding, because I was like, I think I was in the middle of the search, and I was like, please apply for this job.
And then she ends up calling me because, you know, we left the conference. We all came home. A couple of weeks later, she's like, I'm about to fail this search. I need for you to send me your resume right now.
Yeah.
right now.
And I was like when I get home right now.
Jeez, I don't even know where my resume is.
Listen,
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with that thing. I couldn't deal with it by myself. It was a little crazy.
It was
A
something else.
little crazy. Crazy.
So
That's
anyway,
hilarious.
I'm back in management now, and I really, I don't think I ever really thought of staff in their capacity as whole people before. You know, I was really good at thinking about staff in terms of an organizational context,
Mhm.
but thinking about, you know, these are people, they have lives, life happens, people get sick. I want people to feel like they can take time that they need in order to be and feel as good as they can feel, you know?
Right.
And so I'm trying this time around to, it was a different situation back then. But I'm trying really hard to try and foster sort of a radical trust sort of situation where, like, if you need something, I will do my damnedest to give it to you. If you need time, take the time, you know, and I'm going to assume that you need it because you've asked for it. Like,
yeah,
you know,
and I mean, it's so important because like it takes so much to ask. Like to make that ask is so hard for some people, for most people. And when it comes to work, to make an ask like that is really difficult. And if you are a manager who can kind of, you know, see that something might be going on, but you don't want to get, you know, just to be able to say to them, like, if you need time, you can take it. Like, it's fine. Like, you know, without even having to get into any kind of specifics about something, but just so people know, like, it's okay. Because so many people, we all have, I think it's difficult for anybody to ask for help when they need it. And then when you're talking about your livelihood and having to ask for time or something like that, you know, you fear might have you look bad or not, you know, help you advance or to be successful in your career or job. It's really hard to do that. So I think, you know, that is a really important thing to think about. And unfortunately, a lot of places still don't. Right. I'm hoping that maybe now in the last 2 years, it's gotten a little bit different, but I don't know. Like, I think this whole, like, I feel like now that we've all kind of had some experience of working from home and people kind of realize that, you know, we all don't really actually need to be here in this building to like do our jobs, that possibly we could be a little bit more, you know, flexible with stuff, but I don't know. No, not where you are.
And not where I am. They literally were like, if you need to work from home, then you need to get an accommodation through HR, just like olden style. Everybody gets their ass back to work in person. Yeah.
Yay. Yay. Yay.
Well,
which is silly because
I got sent home full time. I'm not real happy about it, but I'm grateful for my job.
Yes.
So I'm just going to keep on working.
I'm grateful.
I mean, well, okay, so here's another, like, one more, like, question. So now we had COVID happen, and you have a disorder that affects your immune system, or you take medication that suppresses your immune system. So how were they with that? Like, how did you find having to deal with that, please, the last year and a half? Like, I mean, I know how you deal with it, but let the audience know how you deal with it.
I was one of those people who only went out to the grocery store, and then I learned that I could order groceries online and they picked them up just fine. And so I've been one of those people who has been pretty isolated. I have one person, Robin, you know her, or have heard me talk about her. I have one person that I have been as my social circle for my in-person social circle since last March. And now we're branching out and we're occasionally hitting TJ Maxx because skincare. A lot cheaper at TJ Maxx. But it was scary. It was scary. And watching people be so blithe about something that means, like, I realized it meant everybody's life, right? Everyone was susceptible. But as someone who was in a community that was particularly not just susceptible, but if we got it, much more likely to die from it, right? It really opened my eyes to how many Americans just do not give a single shit. And that was disappointing because now this whole, like, well, you know, if you've been vaccinated, take off your mask, CDC says. And I'm like, I do not trust the people who are taking off their masks to be vaccinated. You guys can work on the honor system here after they cheated.
I mean, we've had this conversation here before. Yeah. It's like, I have children under 16, so nothing changes for me because the last time I checked, they can't get vaccinated. Like, and are we just going to pretend like they don't exist? Like, I mean, that's the thing. Like,
but don't you know that children don't get sick? Children don't get sick.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Totally. Yeah. So
completely.
So I'm still staying pretty closed up. But I am a solitary creature, and I live alone. And people kept asking me, "Are you lonely? You must be terribly lonely." No, not even a little bit. And this is
Nope.
awful because I know it was a
Nope.
pandemic and people died, but like I was having a great time all here by my one son, by my onesies.
You
Like
and my husband were just like the big happiest people ever.
I redecorated.
I'm like, I need to leave the house before I kill somebody.
Well, but you've
I
got
was
kids
so
and
lonely.
you know all that.
I
sort
didn't
of
want to
thing.
leave the house, but I was so lonely. I hated not having the options. Like, I just wanted
that's
to,
exactly what it became.
like,
Not being able to even have an option.
yeah, it was not having the options, and it was like, it was just like, and when you did go somewhere, there was nowhere to go. That's what sucked. And then I don't know if Mary told you, like, I live in Minneapolis, and I live walking distance from where George Floyd was murdered. So like the riots were really close to my house, and it was just like the Minneapolis went from being a really decent place to live to being a shithole, literally over the course of a week.
That's
And
how we met, because
it sucks here. Yeah.
That's how Angie and I met, because we knew each other on Twitter, and then shit was going down when that happened. And I was like, here's my phone number. I'm in California. If you need to call me at 3:00 in the morning, I'll still be awake. So call me if you're okay.
Yeah,
it was scary. It was scary.
Yeah, it was really scary. And so I ended up being, so it was less, there was no options. My neighborhood was burnt to a crisp. There's a big scar in my neighborhood. And I was afraid to go anywhere. So then that's why I've been doing all this work on myself, because I got PTSD and all this other stuff I got to go through.
We're going to see a lot of stuff coming out, I think, as I keep saying, as the summer begins and progresses and we venture out more, and we're going to see a lot more PTSD kind of thing. I think it's just like we're going to see in general, people are just going to be awkward and have no idea how to socialize for a lot of us, because we're so not used to it.
Not only that, but there's still some of us
that don't want to come back out.
I want to come back.
Not only that, but when I do come back out, I still want my 6 feet radius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't
say that they're never going to go out without a mask again. They don't want to smile at people. And
I've not had a cold. Like,
yeah, I mean, yesterday I went out for something, and it was the first time I think I've ever been anywhere where they were not masking, and I was just like, "Ooh!" I was like, "What's going on
went
here?"
to the grocery store and saw somebody without a mask, and I almost lost my mind. And my nephew was with me. He said he saw 12 people without masks, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?"
They're about to lift our mandate in about 2 weeks. And
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to not wear one. Like, I'll be quite honest. Like, I just don't know, because,
people are gross.
I mean, well, I just like, it's, I know that's, what was that stat about the flu that came out this last week? That was insanity. Like, it was like 2,100 cases total for the year or something. I mean, like, yes, because probably nobody was interacting and nobody was leaving their house. But like, we were also wearing masks over our faces, and we were like, people were wearing gloves, and we were staying away from each other. And like,
and it's
it's not a bad practice.
It's not a bad idea to normalize it. A lot of
Asian countries do it.
A lot of Asian countries,
China does it, and they're
and you know me.
Don't trust China.
I've flown with a mask for the past almost decade. Anytime I fly with a mask, just because.
Yeah, the mask, absolutely. I think I'll probably keep wearing my mask for a while, at least, like, because I'm still on public transportation, and mask and hand sanitizer. I work in a children's hospital, and like last year we had almost no cystic fibrosis admits. We had almost no
That's amazing.
RSV admits. We had almost no flu admits. But like people are still getting COVID. Like it's crazy. Like how we're not getting flu and RSV kids, but we're getting COVID. Like
I don't know.
We weren't washing our hands. Like these nasty people weren't washing their hands. Nasty Americans.
Yeah.
Nasty.
It's
Nasty.
cool.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be an interesting summer. I do think that I just got our first like concert like bulletin. I'm like, really? We're gonna do the concert thing, huh? Okay.
One of my girlfriends.
I mean, like, I really want to go see live music. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just like,
Nothing
we're
in
really
the
gonna do
world
this
quite
like
like
27,000 people thing, right?
One of my girlfriends in St. Louis was like, "Oh yeah, we're going to see Maroon 5," and I was like,
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Like, I mean,
I
like,
don't
you know,
what's worse. All those people in Maroon 5, like
well, I mean, you know, this is a whole other conversation, and you can fall on any side. But it's like we're not going to verify people getting vaccinated, and I just don't understand how we're doing anything.
I'm not
really.
carrying
Like,
a vaccine passport.
No,
I'm
I
not
mean,
doing
like,
it.
I don't care. I don't care. I have no care about it. Honestly, it doesn't bother me either way. But like, I'm not even saying we should do that. I'm just saying, like, if we don't know, then what's the like? Why are we even like? What's the point? What are we doing? What are we doing? Just wear your mask and shut up.
Just wear your mask, wash your hands, you nasty.
And on that note, here we are. Come to the end of this episode. Thankfully, we've now talked about seafood, as usual.
You brought it up, though.
I bring it up. We didn't talk about it. I just did. Okay, thank you, Colleen. Thank you so much for coming today. We
you for
really
having me.
appreciate it. It was great talking
We'll
to
have
you.
to
and
come
we
back
appreciate
again
it.
soon.
Yes, we'll definitely have to have a librarian night, and we'll definitely have to see where else we can get you in on the schedule. Other topics we can talk about.
Yes.
I would love to have a great
yeah, it
time.
would be
Thank
great.
you so much.
You're welcome. Angie, as usual, it's always been wonderful, as always.
Always.
To everybody, thank you. Everybody in the chat,
Thank you
all the
so
lurkers,
much.
everybody's watching, anyone who hits this on the replay, we appreciate your viewership. If you are not subscribed to us on YouTube, please consider doing that. Hit subscribe. The channel is I'll Take the L. If you're not following us on Twitch, you should rectify that immediately and follow us on my channel's Pigs in Space.
Dave's having
Dave is having a temper tantrum with his little unicorn with no eyes right here. Really, he chewed the eyes out. Vicious dog.
Vicious.
He's like, what are you talking about me now? If you're looking for any new content, different content, content that's not chicks and hot tubs, like I keep saying, but also, again, more props to them. Check out all the streamers that we link to. What'd you say?
Bigfoot content.
Bigfoot content. Check out all the streamers we link to on the bottom of our Twitch page. We have gamers. We have other talk shows. We have lots of DJs. Speaking of DJs, tonight is 80s night. Tonight, DJ Danny P. 80s night. Best party every week. Best party you can go to without leaving your house. So check them out on Twitch this evening. We always have a good time. What else do I want to say? Links. We don't have any links for this week, so I won't be updating anything in the chat. I will put in, if you want to get in touch with Colleen, I will put her contact information, her socials in the description. If you have to get in touch with us, our socials are in the description.
Excuse me.
Well, if you have any comments, questions, suggestions for topics, please let us know. We're always open to it. I have no idea what Monday is going to be. I have to think about it. I do think, well, actually, I want to say maybe Sunday. You feel like playing games Sunday again?
I'm here.
Okay.
Ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that. I have to see how my weekend goes. I'm already crazed up this next 2 days, so we'll see how everything goes. But yeah, I'd like to go back to
jabs. So
yeah, yep. Yeah, I know. But my husband's like, it was so much fun when you guys just sat there and talked about nothing. It's like, okay. Apparently we're good when we go off book. So we will either have a game stream on Sunday night or we'll be back with regular Monday content. I will figure it out, and Angie, I will hit you up with a topic once I think about it. Or if you have a topic, we'll talk about it off air. Thank you again to everybody. We really appreciate it. Please tune in on Monday, same time, 5 p.m. Pacific time. We can't wait to see you. Thank you all again for another exciting week of I'll Take the L. Bye, everybody.
bye.